Welcome to With All Due Respect. This is a podcast for women over 40 who are looking for sane, frank advice about their health and wellness, especially through and after menopause. I'm Amanda Thebe, a personal trainer and nutrition coach, and the author of the best-selling book, Menopocalypse: How I Learned to Thrive During Menopause and How You Can Too. I'd love you to join me every week as I chew the fat with some fab guests on hot topics that directly impact you. I also know the power of conversation is lost, and there's nothing better than sitting down for a natter with your mate and putting the world to rights. And that's exactly what I'll be doing with this podcast. We'll really get to know my guests, warts and all. I've made it my mission to help you by exploding a few myths and presenting you with plain, simple facts. These inspiring conversations will hopefully empower you to be a healthy, strong, resilient bitch, just like me. Before we get started, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a review, and then visit me at amandathebe.com. And now let's get started on today's show.
Hiya. Oh my God.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, all right, but I was on a call. I was like, I'm gonna go. And then
I know, I'm so sorry. It's just mega hectic right now, so I don't have too long.
No, so take as long as you've got. So I usually don't have any more than half an hour, right?
Perfect.
But I can do an intro outro later. I can just interview you. Let's do that because I know you're against it. So are you good to go? I think we're recording. Hold on. Yeah, we're recording. Okay.
Perfect.
Hi, Lesley. Hi, Lesley. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hi, great to see you.
So you come from your car in Hollywood, I think. Where are you in LA, right?
That's right. I'm in Los Angeles right now. I've got a lunch meeting coming up with a great Hollywood producer. I'm bebopping around all over town, so life ain't so bad.
I appreciate then you finding the time for this, but I posted about you on my Instagram and it sort of exploded, didn't it? People were like, who is she? What is this woman and why don't we know anything about her? But the main part about this was that you just won the BAFTA and nobody really acknowledged what you've done or the impact of the journey. And that's what I want to dig into today. Did that frustrate you, by the way?
No, not really. I mean, I suppose so, but now that the story's out, it built a lot of traction, especially post-BAFTAs and pre-Oscars. So now a lot of people know, but, I'm from that Scottish background, right? So it's not like tooting your own horn is something that you do, and you certainly don't get upset about it. Because at the end of the day, I feel success in my life has come because I've focused on the craft of what I do, and loving what I do and trying to have as much excellence in that craft as possible, right? So I think the work speaks for itself ultimately. Yeah. And people will learn about me more and more, and that's fine. I don't need that pat in the back. I'm doing this because I love it. And
right. It wasn't even that it was a pat on the back. It was more are you a fucking idiot? You missed the most amazing story. But anyway, it doesn't matter because we're going to dig into that, right? So listen, you're from Stirling. You're from Stirling, Scotland.
I am indeed. Yeah. So I grew up there. All my family's still there. Go back there a bunch. Yeah. So, and I moved to Scotland.
I was just there actually with. So my husband's from Neilston in Glasgow. So we often.
Oh, brilliant. Oh my gosh, how funny. Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's absolutely gorgeous here. I mean, I don't miss the weather here, but it is a beautiful town.
So I really want to dig into your story, and we've got 30 minutes to do it, and it's a massive story. So I hope we get through it. But let's just start at the beginning where you're a triathlete, but you're a world level triathlete. When I looked at the accomplishments, you've received, is it 5 world records or world championships? Right?
Yeah, 5 of them. So it's been a long and wild career, to be honest, in sport, because, I always knew I wanted to be an athlete when I was mega young. I mean, to be honest, I've had the 2 career strings my whole life because I was a ballet dancer and a rugby player when I was really young.
Right.
And then I've always been into the arts and studied film and theatre at the same time as being a pro athlete. But I started off in triathlon when I was about 12, 13 years old. and got on the national team really quickly, Scottish team, British team, thought I would go to the Olympics, and really got quite disillusioned with the sport because triathlon got into the Olympics, and so it became a different kind of sport. The funding behind it in the UK was different, and I just wasn't good at that specific type of triathlon. There's many different types of triathlon, and just, I got mega disillusioned. But I'd met my husband at the time, and he had just gotten a job across in California, and so that was a wonderful chance for me to shed that skin of being a failed athlete and moving on to sort of some different pastures. And so I was only 21 at the time, and went back and did my master's degree in theatre in San Diego in California, and was acting up in LA, was writing, was doing lots of fun things. And I think because I rediscovered myself emotionally, what I loved, who I was, and then found these other forms of triathlon, Xterra being one of them, which is off-road triathlon, I kind of jumped back into the sport, 3 or 4 years later, just with a different type of attitude and in a different type of sport, and thus kind of got back into that world that I never thought I would go back to.
And just like digging into that a little bit. So my husband's also a national level swimmer in Scotland, him and his sister. I think all Scots are good swimmers personally, but swimming was your sort of Achilles heel in the sport, right? You thrived better in the running and the cycling, I'm assuming. And he always says that triathlons suck for a swimmer because good swimmers don't gain that much like ground on like someone who's a runner and a cyclist, because there's not that much like a time difference. And I know that he's like, I could do like a triathlon and I'd beat everyone in the swimming, but it's easy to make ground on me in other areas. Is that how you felt a little bit in the traditional?
No, not really, because drafting became a big thing in triathlon. There's different forms of triathlon, as I mentioned earlier. So in the Olympics, it's drafting based. So you have to be a good swimmer to get out in the front pack so that then you can be in that front pack. Then you have to be a good runner. So it's a very different style of triathlon. So I was a solid swimmer, like still a 20-minute, 19 and a half minute, 20-minute, 1500, which is good. But these guys are swimming 18 minutes, 17 and a half or 18 minutes. You can't lose a minute and a half and then expect to make it up on the bike against a pack. Okay. So it's a very different strategy. So that's where in Xterra, of course, the swimming mattered less. But that's
kind of... So when you say you were a strong swimmer, you were a really good swimmer then. It's like, it's just all
that's relative.
Yeah. And then so you moved to LA and you did your degree in drama in Loughborough. I did my personal training at Loughborough years ago when you could only do your personal training. It was always helped because it's a good sports university as well, of course. But so you've got these like two passions, and then you decide that you want to do this movie. And so I want to dig a bit deeper into this because you want to do this movie and you co-write it as a screenwriter with a colleague. Is that correct? Can you tell me the lead up to that and why you wanted to do that particular film? I'm just really curious as to your choice.
Sure. So when I was studying my master's in California, I was into, absolutely loved film. It's very difficult to navigate that world and figure out what do I want to do in that world. And initially I thought it was acting, but I wasn't very good at that. And so I just loved the world. Then I got into producing, and then I met Ian Stokell, who I have the writing credit with on All Quiet.
Yes.
And he suggested that I start to write and produce my own films so then I could act in them. And so we started writing a couple scripts together, and I enjoyed it. I was quite good at it. And then we both were reading All Quiet in the Western Front. They had a sale on at a local bookstore, and we love war films, and that hadn't been made for a long time. And Ian was a journalist, and he's like, everything in this industry is starting to go towards the trend of having intellectual property. So if you have a big title like All Quiet in the Western Front, it's worth a lot of money. So we both loved it, knew that it could be a coup if we got it. And that's why we inquired. So we inquired, we were lucky enough that nobody had the rights, which was very unusual.
Yeah, so I feel like that's very unusual. Is it because it was so old maybe? Is that what you think the reason was?
Sometimes it's just lack of timing. Like,
Yeah.
It's just luck of timing. And of course, it took us 16 years to get off the ground. So it was, people probably knew how difficult that book would be to remake and do it in the right way and get the funding for it and all that. So it's understanding the industry, and it took us a long time to really figure out what that, the industry is and how to make it work.
The industry is pretty brutal as it goes, right? It's not very forgiving. Like when I hear like some of the stories, I mean, you've just got to have a bit of a thick skin and be dogged.
Yeah, which, let's be honest, I mean, it's pretty obvious that's who I am.
I know. So, I mean, so you decide that you want to do the movie. You've got you've got the rights to it. But what happens? What's the pivotal thing that happens that makes you think that you may not be able to hang on to it? Like, so I don't want to prompt anything in case I get the story wrong, but you needed to raise money, right, to be able to hang on to the book rights. Is that right?
So basically, every year you had to renegotiate and repay for the rights. So that's pretty common when it comes to optioning the rights of a novel or whatever it is you're optioning the rights to. Yeah, so that was like every year, right? We had to come up with a bunch of money, renegotiate, and so that was very stressful.
Right. Then this one year, you decide to raise the money. You're going to go into a triathlon to raise the money because the prize money is going to cover the cost. Is that correct? So this is a story that, like, when I read it, I was like, you fucking kidding me? This woman's amazing. Talk about someone that really wants something. I just loved it. So would you want to tell us that story? I mean, I know you told the story 1,000 times, but it's still friggin' amazing.
Totally. Yeah. So basically the rights were due. We needed a dock. So I went out to do this race, and the day before the race, often you'll pre-ride the course because it's all off-road. You want to check out the lines and the rocks. And I basically fell off my bike and broke my shoulder. And not that I knew that I'd broken my shoulder, but I knew I couldn't lift it at all. It was very painful. And I was determined to do the race. So knew I could prop my hand up on the handlebars, and then knew I could run. And swimming, it would have to be one-armed. So basically, jumped into the race, swam a mile with one arm, came out 12 minutes, cycled up to second, and then ran into first and won the race. So it was like just an exercise in absolute perseverance and doggedness. Yeah, totally wild.
And did you go into that race knowing that you could still win, even with was there any part of you was like, I don't think I can do this? Or was it not a non-negotiable for you? I'm just trying to understand your mindset.
And this is where my husband is amazing. It's one of those things where you just sort of say, I'm going to take it step by step, right? And we said, well, listen, I'm great at the one-arm drill. Let's give it a whirl. So I started off the race, nothing to lose. I'd spoken to my PT, and we'd all agreed that I probably, as long as I didn't sort of move around too much, I could figure out how to sort of not damage it any further. So, yeah, just started off, and I said, well, I'll give it a try. I'll do 100 meters and see what happens. Well, 100 meters, I was still moving forward. Then 200, I was okay. And then I made it through the mile. And that itself was just it's all about sort of breaking it down into small, manageable chunks. And then bit by bit, you get those dopamine hits, right? Oh my God, I managed to do that. Oh my God, I managed to do that. Oh my God. And then I just kept on going, and then I won the bloody race. So,
but I mean, even just putting your shoes on and off and doing all of that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've had many injuries in my career, and I've figured out ways to make it. I've broken both arms at the same time. I've done this. I've done a lot of that kind of stuff. Like, I've had a lot of issues before. So you just manage. I can't explain it. I mean, I'm of that ilk. I'm of that. And you ask my husband, I just figure out a way to make it happen.
Obviously, and it's quite incredible. So you win, which is fucking amazing. So you're able to keep hold of the options for another year. And then you do something that I'm really interested in. So the original movie, I remember watching the original movie, and I'm a complete war buff as well. It's sort of why I'm super excited to speak to you as well, because it's like the whole of my family are absolutely mad over all of this, and we loved your movie. But we were really surprised that it was in German. But that was a definite choice that obviously you made to do, but you don't speak German, right? You're not a German speaker, are you?
No. So here's what happened. So when we optioned the rights 16 years ago, we thought it would be in English with a German accent. And the reason being is the landscape of film in the industry has completely changed in 16 years. Because of streamers and because of local language content, foreign films are a lot more desirable and people want them. So that meant that we could raise the finance and get parties interested if it was going to be in German. Now, it makes sense for it to be in German. It's a German novel by German people about German culture. So why wouldn't you do it in German? And there's a music to that language that is different. There's an understanding that's different. And when we got Edward, who's a German director, on board, they came to us and said, would you consider doing this in German? We said, absolutely. So having him on board as both a co-writer, he helped translate it with a translator. We had every piece of trust in him. So it didn't matter that he didn't speak German. We had the sentiment, the story structure and all that in the original script. And then he came on as a co-writer and infused it with that German sensibility. I did a pass on the script and then translated it. So the whole thing was completely seamless.
Right, really? And you wouldn't think that, would you? But I mean, it's amazing. And it's so fantastic watching the making of the movie as well, like just how it all came together. But I agree with you. When you watch it, you can't imagine it not being in German because it's their perspective. It's
Right.
not the English.
Right.
But that's just what we used to do in movies, right? We always gave it the English sort of twist type thing, the British twist.
Yeah. Which is,
Awesome.
you can't, it's all about sort of the perspective, the authentic perspective of the country, of the people, of the culture that you're telling it about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And so you do this movie and it comes out and then you win a BAFTA. Fuck.
Wild. Totally wild. Totally
I love it. Yeah. And so how did that feel? What was that whole experience like? Because you had 16 years of pulling this together, then finally it's out there and it's being recognized and people are loving it. Like, how did that feel?
Do you know what? It was amazing. And I'll tell you why it was amazing, because my parents, I really got to share it with them. My mom came to the BAFTAs. My mother and father-in-law came to the after party. Like, we had a great time. And I met amazing artists, like all of these people that I just revere and have revered for years. And all of a sudden you're in conversation with them. So for me, it's more about like now having access to people that I really believe in, that I'm excited to work with. I have so many stories I want to tell. And I have a production company with my husband. We're doing a bunch of other projects and development. So it's like, for me, it's more about what it gives you access to. That's one piece of it. And then two is to see what Ed did, to see the beauty of this project coming together, to see its reception and to see the young people watching this film with such a powerful message. They want content like this. So stop giving crap, give them stuff that matters, because they love it.
Yeah. They want quality. My kids came in and watched it. They watched it separate to me and were like, it's awesome, Mum. It's really awesome. They want that, right? And it's so important. And then we can't not talk about the Oscars as well. Like, how was that going to the Oscars? I mean, what an experience, hey?
Yeah, it was completely surreal and it was very overwhelming, actually, the whole thing, to be honest. It's difficult to kind of absorb it all, and winning 4 Oscars was just incredible. It was tough to lose out on the screenwriting Oscar, but you start to understand the politics behind it all, how it all works, what it's really like. I really, really enjoyed it.
It's almost maybe being like at your own wedding where you enjoy it, but you don't remember anything about it. And you're like, I wish I could. Yeah, it's like, it's hard to be in the moment. Yeah.
That's exactly it. So, but yeah, so super, super interesting.
Do you have any juicy gossip from there? Or are you not sharing?
Hey, gosh, no. I mean, we met some incredible people, I wouldn't say gossip so much. It's just like all of a sudden you're going up to, there's Kate Blanchett and you're giving her a hug, and there's, Viola Davis, and there's this and there's that. And like, you're speaking to all these massive names and they have such a great respect for the project that you can go up and you can talk to anybody. And, and just kind of, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Only human after all, right? I suppose. And I think that
that's it. That's absolutely it. And, you just can't, there are people that they're obsessed with their craft and they love it. that's what you realize. That's what's really, really important.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was expecting you to say, "Oh, I met Tom Cruise and he's only like 5 foot tall," because I always think actors are so much smaller in real life. Everyone's such, but you're tiny too, though.
So it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean, I did meet Tom Cruise, and that was incredible. And he actually knew who I was. So that was totally wild.
Oh my God, mind blown, hey?
It was like some of this stuff is just some of this stuff is just mind blowing. So yeah, so it's like totally wild and very, very surreal, but I'm just excited for this next chapter, to be honest.
So I know you don't have a lot of time today, and I'm very conscious of that. So I'd like to finish with that, actually. Like, are you able to share what's coming up next? What can we look out for in Lesley Patterson's life? Yeah.
Yay. So we're shooting a film in Scotland, which is a psychological thriller. So very excited about that. And we might have a pretty big Scottish actress on board. We're waiting to hear. She loves the script, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh, you get to go home and see your mum and dad as well.
Well, they'll get to be on set, so that'd be cool. They'll help us. So that's kind of the goal. And so then we have one set in Africa and Ghana, and then we have one set in Ireland. Then we have a big military TV series we're developing. So there's kind of a lot.
You got a lot going on. I'm really happy for you. And if it took 16 years for people to like open their eyes and see, then it's good, because hopefully now you'll just like never stop. I'm so proud of you. And I love the fact you're a Scots girl and you're so down to earth. But yeah, one of the reasons I definitely wanted to speak to you is it was just because about this like grit and this resilience that you've got. And it's so admirable. And I think that that's the kick-ass type stories we need to hear more of, It's just good.
Yeah, you're totally right. And I think a lot of people are scared to fail, or they're scared to give it a go, And for me, it's always been about, the pursuit of something is the joy in itself. The mastering of the craft is the joy in itself. So I think if you put more of an emphasis on the process of things rather than the outcome comes, So that's kind of where my head is at. But also as well, like, I really hope to just inspire people to go after their dreams and give it a go, and don't stop it, just keep going. You've just got to keep going, and that pursuit is the joy.
And it's really great to hear somebody like you saying that, because people would just think, oh, she just is always just going for the win. And you're like, oh, no, I completely absorb the process. It's absolutely essential. And I was going to ask you to give some advice at the end, but you just did. It's awesome. Like, just keep stepping forward and striving for your dreams. It's amazing. And so I'm so happy that you found the time. It was a bit of a pain, honestly, back and forth. We made it work though, Lesley. You found some time.
And keep on going with all your amazing work and workouts and all the rest of it. I follow you too. So just keep asking. Viral. Great to see.
Well, it's what we're trying to do, isn't it? Tell women that they are capable. That's essentially the end of it, isn't it? You're capable and you've got to just keep trying. And yeah, I'm really, really pleased for you. So congratulations on all your achievements and best of luck, Lesley. Thank you very much.
All right, great to see you in Scotland.
Oh yeah, totally. I'll come on the film. See you later. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you like what you hear, then why not subscribe to this podcast and leave me a review? You see, when you do this, it helps to raise the profile of my show and attract new listeners. And it also allows me to continue to deliver valuable content with great guests. And in return for you doing that, I will send you my 12-week core-focused program called Abs on Fire as a thank you. Simply drop me an email at amanda@amandasteve.com and I'll wing that your way. Bye.